can't believe hand phones can only record up to 10 minutes. That's ridiculous. Oh, these tiny screws. Tiny, tiny screws. Okay, that's the bottom plate on. After you've done the bottom plate, you should end up with something that looks like this, minus the arms. Next, you'll be instructed to build the arms. So let's have a quick chat about this. I think out of the whole assembly at this point, this hub carrier, which is this part here, I think this one is just a little bit flimsy. It's really thin. It's really thin on the plastic. Plus, when you're removing it from the wireframe, the sprue, stop knocking the camera. It's down the bottom, down here. You can see it. I see. There it is. So you can see that there. That's where it's cut off from the sprue. As you can see, it's very close, very close to the little pins that hold it into the lower arm. Now, if you're not careful, it is easy to damage. I think it's going to be very easy to damage this part, which is a bit unfortunate. But as long as you're careful, it shouldn't be okay. It shouldn't be too bad. I do hope that in the future they're going to when they release upgrade parts, that they do a metal one. I think that would be a bit sturdier than what this one is. Although I don't think it's going to break unless you're not careful. So, as you can see, we've already got the arms and done all the rods for them. So next we're going to just clip the upper arms on and keep the CVD in place. And there's your main frame, the main front suspension. The same on the other side too. Again, the C-hub is exactly the same as the other side. Both the left and right ones have been marked on the plastic, so you shouldn't really mess up which side they go on. Okay. Just a bit better. Okay, so next is going to be the steering rack. Now what I've done here, the steering rack has two arms which will go in here and here. So here's the arms. Now what I've done, because they did seem a bit stiff, it's the little pins that hold it, which is this. They have a shaft of 1.5mm. So what I've done is I've gone through the holes with a 1.6 just to widen it a bit, because it's felt incredibly stiff. The other ones work fine, but these ones just felt incredibly stiff. I've also, because of how it sits in between the plastic, I've also filed it gently just to make it a bit looser on both sides. That should make it a little smoother once you've assembled it. So put those all back together again. I mean, there's still a bit of friction there, but it's nice and smooth. A lot smoother than it was before. And then we do the other side. And then that should be the entire gearbox done. Okay, and then we put the hub arms, which control the steering, onto these links, these balls. Oops. There we go. And the other side. There we go. And that is the entire steering system. I do much prefer this over the live axle. Much nicer, much better controlled. And it's not going to twist the entire axle as the springs move, which is good. So, going back over it, the downside though is because to change the motor, you have to open the entire gearbox assembly. As you can see, it's going to be quite the challenge. So it's probably best you consider which motor you put in beforehand. Again, the outdrives are better being put on before you put the lower plate. So before you put this lower plate, the outdrives, it's best to be put on. Other than that, it's quite a nice little build, this front end. Now, if you wanted to, you could probably get a second front end and use it as a rear end. It would be very easy to modify this into a four-wheel drive or double motor rock crawler or something. You could have four-wheel steering, dual motor, or you could use a single motor and just take the motor out of the rear and just have the rear axle powered by the front. Entirely up to you really, but it's I actually like this. There's a lot of potential for it. Okay, I'll be back with the next section. The rear axle is, I'm not going to explain that one because that's basically the same as all the other cars. So I'll come back with more once I've got the frame sorted.